Hey guys, Civil Lord here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Walmart exclusive. Oh boy, another one. Either way, today we're taking a look at the Rebirth Wally West, aka The Flash, aka My Flash. We'll get into that in just a moment here, but before we get into the meat and taters of this review, since I no longer have the packaging for this figure because I picked him up quite a long arse time ago in a town called Kickapoo. Let's first take a look see at his accessories, starting off with the collectible trading card featuring, I don't know if that's artwork or a photograph, but either way, it's got him on it. There's a bio on the back that you can pause and read at your own leisure, but long story short, this is the Flash that appears in the DC animated universe that was brought to us by Mr. Bruce Timm and the fine folks over at Warner Brothers back in the mid-90s, early 2000s, actually early 90s, if you want to count Batman the Animated Series, which kind of is its own thing, because later on the animation style changed, and then in Justice League Unlimited, it changed a little bit more, but it was less drastic of a change from Batman Animated to New Adventures of Batman. So, with that being said, Flash first appeared in Superman Animated Series, and it was Wally West, not the Barry Allen version of Flash. And then later on, he came back in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, and I have to tell you folks, one of the funniest characters in the DC animated universe, rivaling the Joker, in my opinion. That said, though, it's not the version we are looking at today. We already looked at the animated Flash. I did that quite some time ago, I think for Flashback Friday, if I'm not mistaken, so check that out if you haven't already. Would really appreciate it if you did. But at any rate, this guy comes with quite a few accessories, starting off with some Speed Force effects for his back. Now, these are ratcheted for what it's worth. They're a little warped, but I did have them in a bag, so, you know, that's going to happen. They're soft PVC, so they don't wear the figure down. There's a peg right there going to pour on his back. And much like the animated Wally West, comes with one of these guys. Pegs onto the back of his foot. And he also comes with two of each of these. There's the other one. I think I got one of each here. But we have a longer Speed Force effect and a shorter Speed Force effect. I think they're interchangeable between the arms and the legs. I think personally I like the longer ones on the arms and the shorter ones on the legs. But to each their own. And if you have the Rebirth Barry Allen, pretty much know what you're getting here. It's the same accessories. Now, I have a Barry Allen from McFarlane, but it's the Dark Knight's Metal version, so he's got the Greg Capullo style head sculpt, because your boy was a dingus and didn't buy that original Rebirth Flash, so I need to backtrack and pick that up at some point, because they got Wallace West, which is the newer Kid Flash, the black Kid Flash in the yellow, and then they also have, the Jay Garrick coming out. Then I think there is a Bart Allen, and I almost think there's a female speedster, but I could be wrong on that. Either way, we got a nice little Flash family going on with this line, all Rebirth too, so that's a plus. That said, though, this Wally West is probably my favorite, and he actually used to rock the yellow, didn't he? He wasn't always in the red, but taking a closer look at him here, he of course comes with the trademark hockey puck display stand we're used to seeing with all McFarlane Toys releases, which you may want to use with this guy, even though I don't know if it's going to work, really. We'll talk about that. But at any rate, I really like the colors of Wally West's costume here. Not sure if I'm sold on this buck. It's a little bit thick in places and a little bit slim in places. It seems a little bit disproportionate to me, but I think for the most part it's okay. It's not terrible. Definitely looks a little better than some of the Marvel Legends slimmer bucks that just seem to be all over the place. This one, while it isn't perfect, mind you, it definitely doesn't feel weird. If anything, maybe the head could sit lower, because the neck does seem a little bit long to me. And the shoulders maybe a bit low. But for the most part, the anatomy on this body isn't terrible. It's okay. As far as articulation goes, he's got a double ball peg in the head. You can look up a little bit. Down. Tilt side to side. Rotate. Shoulders go out to the side. Like so. You go back down. Rotate all the way around. He's got that butterfly kind of cap action going on. It does work a little bit. Not a ton because of how thick the shoulders are. He's got a bicep swivel. Double elbow. Kind of loose. Kind of chunky. Not the best, but not terrible. He's got hinge swivel wrists. They work pretty well. He's got a diaphragm joint that can rotate, tilt back. Not so much forward, but you get a lot of forward out of the waist, considering. It's got some rotation down there as well. The arms back, the legs can kick out. You can pretty much do the splits. Pretty much. Now, how about forward? Forward isn't bad either. Okay. That's good. Better than the Barry Allen I have. His diaper was a lot harder. This one is much softer. It's got a lot more flex to it, so that works. He does have a little bit of a thigh cut, but not a lot. Hardly at all, any, really. It's got a double knee. Crunches up. Doesn't look too bad. The bottom one a little bit worse than the top. And then the feet has the infamous loose McFarlane ankle joint problem. A little bit better than Arkham Knight, but not great. So I'm definitely going to have to get some Kikis at some point and start fixing up my McFarlane ankles. Because between this guy, Plague Spawn, Arkham Knight, and the... what's that thing called? The Zero Nar Batman that I'm going to be taking a look at tomorrow. Definitely some looseness going on there. Said he does have an ankle rocker. And the toe hinges are reasonable. But yeah, I really like this figure despite its issues. And you can see the peg hole there, peg hole there, peg hole on his back. Excuse me. I literally just sneezed while recording this. So that's why the video might be a little janky. Because in upstate New York, it's... in the thickness of wintertime, and my sinuses are acting up something bad, so you have to bear with me during some of these reviews, because A, it's cold as balls, and B, it's just screwing with your boy's nose like nobody's business. But that said, even though this guy's got some loosey-goosey feet, this is probably my favorite of the Flash figures we've gotten. As far as a regular Flash, I know I like the zombie one and the evil ones and whatnot. I actually don't have the Reverse Flash yet either, so I'm going to have to pick him up. But for now, just to keep things short, we're only going to do the comparison with the two regulars. Because, again, trying to keep things short and sweet. And most of you probably already know what's up with this figure. It's a Wal-Mart exclusive. I mean... of course it is. Any McFarlane Toys figure that seems to be worth a crap nowadays is a Wal-Mart exclusive. I mean, now we got the... what is it? The Vampire Batman and the Eradicator, right? And then, of course, there's this guy. And, of course, the Joker we looked at yesterday. And... what is it? Shazam. Parallax. Nightfall Batman. Who else is there? I know there's probably more. There's always more. The Dark Flash. The Zombie Flash, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so there's lots. I wish there wasn't. Or at least they just stuck to Target, because Target usually gets like a full case of 6. It's not like divvied out 3 per store, 4 per store, or whatever. But at any rate, with that being said, before this review drags out any longer, it already has, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. And as promised, here is good old Wally West alongside our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus, the Love Spawn, who as usual, towers over everyone. That said though, the Flashbuck from McFarlane Toys' DC Multiverse line is actually quite tall in comparison to a lot of other characters, so while good old Al Simmons here is towering over Wally West, it ain't by a whole heck of a lot. And not sure if I mentioned this before, but it'd be really cool to see what Spawn would look like with the powers of the Speed Force. Pretty sure I've said that in the past, but hey, I'm saying it again because it's my friggin' video, so deal with it. So that being said, time to wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and even with the loosey-goosey ankles that not only this guy, but quite a few McFarlane Toys figures I've been taking a look at recently have been having, hopefully that's something that they can fix in 2023, right? Either way though, I can still find enjoyment out of this figure because I just love the Wally West Flash. He is my favorite of the Scarlet Speedsters anyways. I do quite like a lot of the evil variations of this character, but as the local friend who shall not be named for privacy reasons always says, you always like the villains. Which I can't help it, they just look cooler. But that said, I will say that while I do appreciate that this guy's costume reminds me a lot of Campbell's tomato soup, I mean, seriously, it's like the same shade of kind of orangish red, and that kind of gloss finish just makes it pop, for me personally anyways. I will say, the only thing I don't care for with this particular release, at least this version of the character, is the hair popping out of the top of the mask. I much prefer the animated look for this character, or the classic look, where it's more like Barry Allen's mask, but with the whited out eyes. I really dig that look. It's a lot sleeker, in my opinion, but having the hair exposed on this version gives it a little bit more personality, so I'm not opposed to this either. I just prefer the fully enclosed mask. I just think it looks better, in my opinion. That said, I'd actually like to see a fully masked Flash at some point, kind of like what they did with the Red Death and Dark Knight's Metal, but without the scary skeleton face. I think that would be a really sleek look for the Flash, and a nice, new, cool, modern update to the character, because they did do that, what is it, Speeding Bullets Batman, that had the fully masked head instead of just the cowl. I thought that was a really cool look. I think the Flash would also benefit from something like that. I think it'd look really cool, but maybe that exists, maybe it doesn't, maybe we'll get it at some point, maybe we won't. It's up in the air as to what we're going to get in this line in the near to distant future. That said though, really looking forward to that Calabac, and hopefully less Wal-Mart exclusives, please, and thank you. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you're so inclined, please feel free to do all the YouTube rigmarole, as well as hit me up over on Instagram at Overlord Productions. If you ever want to talk toys or anything specific, that is the #1 best way to get a hold of yours truly. That said, as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is, especially when Wal-Mart exclusives, man, and sinuses, they just suck. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.